David, have we got a stable financial economic backdrop for all of this planning for the world utopia?
Well, that's an excellent question, and we'll get to the excellent question from Mark in extra time. He asked what sustainability really means. We'll have a chat about that one later. On to economic matters. We reported last week that on the start of a house price decline in the United Kingdom, 3% year-on-year decline in house values in the last 12 months. We've got here some further statistics. This is the monthly property transactions commentary from United Kingdom Government, HM Revenue and Customs. Now, they're talking about the volume of transactions, how many house sales are actually going through. Non-adjusted estimate is that is down 32% year-on-year to April. So that's plummeting. Now, that's a leading indicator. That gives an indication as to where house prices are going to go in future. So there's more on this being seen in the mainstream press and in the financial press. Here we've got this is Money website talking about soaring interest rates that have put the brakes on the housing market. Average house prices are dipping. And this was unusual, first time in many years that it had fallen in June. So the house prices are on the slide. Moving on to the Financial Times, they're looking at where interest rates are going. Now, the Bank of England made a prediction about how interest rates were going to plummet, and they duly didn't. They came down a little, but nothing like the expectation from the Bank of England. As a result, the expectation as to where interest rates are going to be is that they're going to be higher, expecting the Bank of England to be fighting inflation by putting up interest rates. So the FT reports that the 2-year fixed rate mortgage is now above 6%. Now, what's that doing to the lending market in the UK? Well, we'll see here Trading Economics shows that mortgage lending is, would you believe, minus 1.4 billion pounds. The mortgage borrowers are repaying more than they are borrowing by 1.4 billion in April alone. And if you look at this chart, you'll see that apart from one dip during the COVID craziness, this is the lowest level of mortgage borrowing on record in history in the United Kingdom. So certainly since that record began. So this is very, very significant. The housing market is really hitting the buffers very hard. Trading Economics reports here, the period since the onset of COVID-19 has excluded net borrowing of mortgage debt was at its lowest level on record. Looking slightly further afield from the United Kingdom, we go to the European Central Bank. This is what they're saying about the money supply. And you see the money supply, this is the supply of credit, of course, because it's not money, it's credit, is dropping very quickly. The M1, which is basically cash and overnight demand deposits, that's now falling at about 5% a year. M3, a broader measure of money, is still increasing, but at a very low rate. That suggests that there's going to be huge deflationary pressures on the economy. There's going to be major pressures on the banks and major pressures on the central banks to reverse course and start to print money again, because really that's the only trick they have. And we'll finish here with the Telegraph. Reporting that the Bank of England is urged to speed up its review of its forecast bungles. Transpires no one's believing the bank anymore. Confidence in the Bank of England is at a record low. And I thought I'd share this quote with you. Dame Andrea Leadsom, member of the Treasury Select Committee and former business secretary, so she should know, said the public's distress is entirely understandable, as runaway inflation is so devastating for every single one of us. Now, of course, she wasn't saying anything about that when the government and the Bank of England together were enacting the policies that caused the inflation, all the money printing during COVID. She was silent then, but now she's got someone to blame it on, namely the bank. She's happy to do that. If only people would actually stand up and take responsibility for what they have done to this country, that would be a start.
Yeah, David, thank you very much for that. And of course, we're in the amazing situation where if it's money for the weapons in Ukraine, then those billions can appear at the drop of a hat. But what we need is a stop button for the roundabout, I think. Well, let's move on and say a big thank you to everybody who's supporting the UK column. If you're not yet a signed up member with us, please consider doing that. And you get the benefits of all the UK column community part of the website. Of course, you can support us by purchasing in the shop. And that's always great advertising for us if you do. And of course, everything that we're pushing out, we hope that you will share. You can take information from any of these platforms and help spread UK column information as far and wide as possible. Now, as always, we'd just like to do a little bit of internal advertising. So Tuesday, the 20th of June at 1 o'clock, we've got a UK column interview, which is Debbie speaking to Charlet Crichton for an update on matters to do with jabs and the effects thereof. So recommend that people tune into that one. On Thursday, we've got an interview, Debbie talking to Naomi Wolf about the Pfizer documents that were recently released by court order. I think this will be a particularly significant interview with more truth coming out, so tune in for that. And we've also got this one Friday the 23rd. This is because UK column team will be away on Friday. And this is David, an interview with Ben Rubin.
Yes, Ben and I were discussing all things relating to big data, big pharma, and the whole issue regarding the new life sciences and genomic research that is propelling so many things forward in the medical sphere. There's a lot of areas that Debbie Evans has covered in detail for some considerable time, so I hope she will enjoy this, and I hope the audience will too.
Okay, well, the other one is an advert for Rally for Peace and Freedom. That seems to be a particularly good subject to be taking part in. This is at Holyrood, next to the Scottish Parliament. It's Saturday, 24th of June at 1 p.m. I will be speaking, David Scott will be speaking. We've got David Clues from Unity News Network, Peter Ford, former ambassador, Lauren Wilson from the Workers' Party, Colin Buchanan, Glasgow against NATO, Alex Pearce, the last Jacobite. And what is it talking about? The recklessness of British policy on Ukraine, which is a threat to us all and world peace. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We want to send out a strong message and reaffirm our democratic right to assembly and free speech. But the overarching aim is to end the terrible war in Ukraine. Now, we've had, as always, some lovely emails through. This one I thought was really wonderful. So I'm just going to praise it a little bit. But a gentleman and his wife were on the beach. They met an older couple. They got talking. It turned out the other couple were from Syria. And as the gentleman who sent the email said, he had a friend from Palmyra. They started to talk about Syria. And he said, well, I watch a really excellent news stream on this. And somebody who's reporting a lot. There was discussion. Vanessa Beeley's name came up. And at that point, the other gentleman called his wife over and told her that the first couple knew Vanessa, to which they said, oh, the UK column, we love them. They tell the real news, and that many people in and from Syria watch UK columns. So that was sent to us as a lovely little bit of feedback, and of course, well done to Vanessa herself. And then I'd also like to just mention this one, which came in from Paula, who's based in Virginia. But what she said was that she'd been noticing strange things going on in relation to the fires in Canada. And there was a link to this particular article from Medicine Hat News. People can freeze the screen to read it, but essentially this is talking about the US deploying high-tech Pentagon equipment. So we're talking satellites and more to help Canada detect, suppress new wildfires. So wildfires have now become part of the Department of Defense. And I think this is a really incredible situation, and we'll have to look deeper into that. Now, David, I think this brings us back to you.